The reason I thought to tell you a little bit about my name is because this week the class has a title and it's called Imagining the Buddha. So we're talking about imagining the Buddha today. And my name, Vandana, means devotion or worship, or salutation or praise. And Jyoti means light. So basically, I'm a good person to talk about imagining the Buddha, because as you might imagine, when you think about the Buddha, what you have to do is to use your imagination. I mean, you could just settle for a plaster statue if that's enough for you. But for most of us, we need something a bit more than that, don't we? So this evening is going to be centering around meeting the Buddha in whatever way you need to meet the Buddha, to enrich your life and to make your life more meaningful, pithy, and beautiful. I hope. So, let's start. Everybody got what they need? Something to sit on? Warm enough? Okay. So just to say that the first thing, any way that Buddhism describes itself, basically, all these lists and efforts to kind of tell you what Buddhism means and sort out what concepts are Buddhistic, all that sort of thing, they're all trying to do a very simple thing. They're all trying to give us an impression of what might have happened when the Buddha got enlightened. In other words, they're trying to describe the nature of an enlightened mind. So you may be coming to this Buddhist class just because you want to feel better, or I don't know why you come, but I remember why I came. It was partly because I thought, actually, it might make me feel a bit better if I did learn to meditate. But I was led here by something a bit mysterious as well. Welcome, come in, don't worry, get yourself a mat. Over here, in the corner. But one of the things that we do try to do, of course, is to find out, well, what is Buddhism about? And most of you will be aware that we talk about the three jewels: the Buddha, his teaching, the Dharma, and the community of the people who followed him and follow him still to this day, which is the Sangha. So those are the three jewels. We're talking about the Buddha and his teaching primarily tonight. So all efforts we make to try to describe what might have happened when the Buddha got enlightened, they kind of all fall short in the end, because at the base of it is something very, very mysterious. We can't quite name it. If we could, we would, and then we'd have done it, wouldn't we? But some of us have been practicing for 37 years and we still haven't quite got the message about what it is. It still unfolds, it's still something in process, it's still a movement rather than a thing, if that makes any sense to you. It's a process rather than a thing. And even the Buddha himself, at the point of his enlightenment, had to go through a process. And at one part of it, there's a very, very strong image that I'd like to draw to your attention. Many of you know this already, but it doesn't matter. It's inspiring every time we think of it. So the Buddha is sitting under the tree of enlightenment, and he's going through various kinds of mental torments and pressures and challenges, moving towards what we would now call the Enlightenment. And at one point he feels challenged by what the stories call Mara, the kind of forces of negativity and opposition and undermining voices and criticism and those things that stop us from pursuing our lives in a positive way. So you can imagine the Buddha's there and Mara comes and says, "So who do you think you are? By what right do you sit there thinking that you're going to break through to some kind of wonderful supernatural state of mind?" And at that point, the Buddha does this really famous action. He touches the ground with his right hand. So he touches the earth. And at that point, the story, the magical, mythical story is that the earth goddess emerges in front of him and says, "You have practiced all the greatness, all the beauty, all the merit, all the ethical action for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and I am here to attest to it." So the earth goddess bears witness of the Buddha's past, or the Buddha to be, his past actions in past lifetimes. So it doesn't really matter if you believe in lifetimes or not. You don't have to. But what does matter is that you see that even the Buddha, just before enlightenment, was challenged, experienced doubt, wasn't certain, and then knew how to become certain. And that's something that will happen to us time and time again in our Buddhist lives. But it also gives us a message of how to proceed at the outset of this Dharma Night class, because one of the most important things we can possibly do at the beginning of a process of trying to come into relationship with the Buddha is to come into relationship with ourself. It's all very well trying to imagine what the enlightened mind might be like, but do you really know what your own mind is like? And before we can do anything about connecting with deeper and higher states of mind, we need to actually come into connection with ourself. So that's what we're going to start with today. In a way, the way I was thinking about this evening, I had an idea that before tea time we were sort of seeking the Buddha, and my premise was that the first way that we had to do that was to find a way of connecting with ourselves. Because there's no point in looking for something outside of ourselves in the way that we're talking about Buddhism. In a way, one has to start with oneself, coming into connection with oneself. And the message of that lovely image that the Buddha had after his enlightenment of all the lotuses in the pond is that, we are all at different levels of development in terms of ourselves and our potential. But what we really want to do is to maximize our potential for the sort of beauty, for that kind of sense of engagement with life that Akshaya Pradeepa was talking about in the tea break. And how we can do that, and what we need to do that is really actually our journey as Buddhists. So you could look at it both ways. In a sense, our journey as Buddhists is developing ourselves, finding ways to become the person that we really most truly are. And synonymous with that, or another way of saying that, is finding the Buddha. Finding the Buddha in terms of our imagination. And those two things seem to me to come together in the activities that we're going to be doing now. So we're exploring our own path of connecting with the Buddha by exploring our own path of becoming the person we really, truly can become. So I want to start off by talking about this path that we're on. The Buddha said, "One who sees the Dharma sees me." So if we're searching for the Buddha, we could say all we need to do is to get to understand what the Buddha's teaching is, and then we'd know what the Buddha was. But when we ask ourselves, well, what is the Dharma? Even those of us who've been around quite a long time, it's quite an elusive question. And there's lots and lots of ways in which it's answered, like, people say, well, actually, the core of the Dharma, the wisdom of the Buddha's enlightenment, the teaching of the Buddha is about change. Right. Well, that's true. It is about change. It's about conditionality. It's about the fact that things arise on the basis of conditions. So the conditions that arise lead to certain things happening. And when those conditions change, those things can no longer happen in the same kind of way. That's certainly true. But it doesn't seem, when I talk about it in that way, to quite touch what I was referring to before the tea break, which is to do with awe and wonder and beauty. It's much more of a conceptual framework, isn't it? We need both of those things. We need conceptual frameworks, but we also need, above all, to touch into this mystical, mysterious side of ourselves as human beings. So what our path really can be is a sort of an interesting double vision. Our path is what we're doing to develop ourselves, and our path is what we're doing to connect more and more with depth and beauty and meaning in our lives. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of a sense of that. Not totally in a conceptual way. Now, it's interesting to know that after the Buddha's enlightenment, after his parinirvana, which is after he left this world, as it were, left his human body, for quite a long time there were never any actual representations of the Buddha. Nobody made statues, nobody made paintings or representations of him. Instead, there were images that sort of pointed to something of his experience. So when people wanted to talk about the Buddha being born, the symbol they used was a footprint. That's quite a nice symbol, isn't it, for birth, like your foot is on the ground. When they wanted to refer to his enlightenment, they often used the image of a tree, because the Buddha was enlightened under a tree. And actually trees feature quite often in the story of the Buddha. The whole, when you read the early writings, Buddhist writings, you see that how important the natural world was to the Buddha and his disciples. They had a very, very strong intuitive connection with the natural world in which they lived. Because remember, they were wanderers, just wandering around through the forests, through the rivers and the dry parts of the world, of their world. Very, very simple lives. I always like to think of that when I conjure up a vision of the Buddha, because often what we think of is quite a beautiful, shiny, golden robe, but actually they were probably quite hairy, rough-shod, if shod at all, wearing rags, probably not tremendously lovely looking or lovely smelling, and they'd be there with their begging bowls, just accepting whatever anybody decided to put in them. So it was a very simple, rough-hewn life that they lived. When people wanted to represent the Buddha's teaching, the symbol that they used was a wheel. And you might have heard of the wheel of the Dharma. This is just like sometimes you'll see Buddhists wear a little wheel on a chain around their necks. This is a symbol which, to begin with, it just looks like a wheel, but you imbue it with meaning if it's something that your imagination is drawn towards. So we are talking about how do we represent the Buddha? Where should we be looking for the Buddha? How can we find the Buddha? And the Buddha said, "One who sees the Dharma sees me." So what is this Dharma? It's often described as good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. And what is it? And as I said before, all the formulations of the Dharma that we come across are all efforts at trying to describe the experience of enlightenment. But the experience of enlightenment itself is elusive and impossible to describe. So we're back to the only way that you can actually get close to that is to allow your imagination to start to work. And another thing I've said in the first half that I want to bring us back to is that something in us does actually reach out to this mystery. Something is echoing within us. Something has brought you here. And it's not just that you want to feel better. There'll be something in addition to that. Something that's mysterious, something that's elusive, something echoing within you as if from the beyond. So what we're going to do now is say a few more things that I thought to mention to you, and then we're going to do what we call a puja. Now, puja is a formal, structured worship. If you haven't done, has anybody done a puja before? Well, lots of you have, I know. Anyone not done a puja before? One or two people. So all that's happening in this is that we are on purpose deciding to show devotion to the ideal of enlightenment in the form of the Buddha Shakyamuni, who is our Buddha. So you will find yourself joining in, I hope, reciting some simple verses that describe aspects of the Buddha's life and that can kind of bring us into connection with the ideals of enlightenment. But remember, what we're doing really here is we're pointing in a certain direction. We do not need to know for certain. We just have to allow ourselves to be open and receptive to what might happen. And in a sense, the puja itself, it's only got 3 little sections, it's quite short. It sets us out on a path, and it says things about that the Buddha was born like we are born. Buddha was born as a human being. And then the Buddha actually went through all those troubles with Mara and challenges at the point where he was getting enlightened, never mind the things that happened before, which is not our story for today, but that he could, in a sense, show us the way to work with our minds to get more and more clarity, more and more ease, more and more calm, more and more relaxation, so that we can break through into the world of imagination, illumined imagination, where things begin to take on a deep and significant impact in our lives. So what is it that makes us capable? This is the last thing I wanted to say. What is it that makes us able to do this as human beings? And there's 3 things in particular that I want to bring out here. First of all, we have special qualities as human beings, different from the other forms of life on our planet. We do have the awareness that lets us know that we are aware. I am aware that I'm aware. Are you aware that you're aware? Yes. It is part of the human condition. You know that you know. Now, a dog knows lots, but the dog doesn't think, no, actually, I don't think I'll be doing that today. I love dogs, by the way. No, I think I'll wait till tomorrow to eat that biscuit. They're led by their instinct, whereas we have the capacity to think, actually, is this the right time, the right place? What will be the effect of my taking this action at this time? And of course, that awareness gives us an enormous responsibility. It confers special responsibility. Because if we really know that we're aware of being aware, then we really have to also be aware of the impact that we have in the world. And we can imagine ourselves doing this growing and changing from this place, we can have aspiration because of this awareness. We can think, oh yeah, I'm here on purpose tonight. I'm going to do something with this. And we can have this aspiration in terms of all our actions of body, but also how we speak and also our minds. And in Buddhism, that's encapsulated in the 5 precepts, the kind of the training principles that you will hear all Buddhists at any part of the world, in any place, repeating. It's in a sense what makes us a Buddhist, is that we take these principles of training, of ethical practice that were given by the Buddha, and we try to live by them. And actually, the 5 precepts describe the way a Buddha would respond to the world. So we probably fall short pretty well all the time. We do aim to be loving and kind. We do aim to be generous. We aim to be calm and contented. We aim to be truthful. We aim to be mindful. And we don't always do it because we're one of those lotuses in that pond that we're on the way to developing, but we're not enlightened yet. So we're in a path of training, but we know that we are if we take this on as a special responsibility. And that's what being a Buddhist really is. And that is what finding the Buddha really is. It's using the Buddha as a kind of a model for how to act in the most skillful, the most ethical, the most effective and helpful way in the world. So that's the first thing. We are aware that we're aware. Do you all agree? Yeah. Okay, thank you. We have the capacity, this is the second one, we have the capacity to engage our hearts on purpose. You can think, actually, I've been a real mean old bat in my time. It's true. Been very, very grumpy. And I used to be even more grumpy than I am now. But I've learned that actually I can find positivity in my experience. What a fantastic thing to learn. It has completely changed my life, I can tell you. And I have the capacity to engage my heart. I've written here, beyond pure instinct. So, I'm very kind to my 99-year-old mother. But I'm also quite kind to the other ladies in her care home. They're amazing. Dorothy, she's lovely. She's about this high. And she just goes around and she goes, Mom. And the reason she says that is because she's had 8 daughters. I've met her daughters. They're great big people. They say, isn't it extraordinary? She's so tiny, but she's had 8 of us. And it's like, you sort of, she's just so. I mean, I really have kind of, my heart has just gone out to these old ladies that I'm meeting. My mum's only recently joined this care home. So it's like beyond our kind of direct responsibility, our family, our friends, and we can engage the heart, and we actually need to do that. It's part of our human instinct, actually, to move out beyond our own particular little set of people, and to see that we're connected up with all life. And the more you can do that, the more fulfilling and more valuable your life becomes. So this is something we learn, by the way. It's not something you just decide to do like, done it. It is actually a path of training. We can resonate with other people. We can care about their well-being as much as our own. And also notice what's important here is not feeling with them. It's not just empathy we're talking about. Empathy on its own is not really enough. If you're suffering and I kind of can see that and I just go there with you, I end up going down into a place of suffering with you. Well, that's not much use. What I need to do is to feel for you. Do you see the difference? And that actually is what compassion means. That compassionate action is action that feels for people. It doesn't necessarily go into all the suffering that they're in. That really would be pointless. Anyway, that's something for you to think about. Third thing and last thing I want to talk about. We have the capacity to develop our mind. We have the capacity to develop our mind to understand the interconnectedness of things. And that is one of the core aspects of the Buddha's teaching. We can see into these mysteries that I was talking about in the first half that inspire us. And we need to, because in those mysteries is the beauty, the splendor, the kind of awesomeness of our true engaged life. So please, if you haven't been on retreat already, go on retreat, because that is exactly the sort of thing that you find. It's mysterious. You can't predict it. You can't define it. You can't even know how to do it, or where to do it, or you just have to put yourself in the right conditions and then open your heart through practice, like we were doing in the beginning of this evening. So, without more ado, what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to sing you a song. And this song has words which were written by a really ancient Buddhist called Maitri Chetta. Do you remember? I think it's 15th century. Very, very long time ago anyway. I've changed them a little bit, but this is a hymn to the Buddha, and it describes the Buddha in very beautiful words. So I'd invite you just to listen. It'll probably be about 5 minutes. I don't think it takes longer than that. And after the puja, after I've finished the song, what we're going to do is a threefold puja. So it has 3 verses, and I read a line and then you repeat it after me. And at the end of it, we're going to chant the Shakyamuni mantra. I hope we have time. Would anybody on the team like to lead a Shakyamuni mantra for us? Oh, chorus of enthusiasm. Thank you very much, Akshaya Pradeepa. That would be great. So what Akshaya Pradeepa will do, she starts the mantra, and then, you know what you do? Enthusiastically and loudly, you join in with me and the rest of the team. And if you'd like to, during that mantra, you can come up to the front in hordes. Don't wait for everybody, and just come, pick up a night light and light it and put it on the glass. What you're doing when you do that is, in a sense, you're committing yourself to looking into your own potential for wisdom, beauty, brightness, fulfillment, skillful action. You're kind of cementing it through physical action. And if you haven't done that before, I'd really invite you to do it. There's not a special way to do it. You could just bow to the shrine, pick up a candle and light it, or you can kneel down on the ground and touch your head to the ground if you want to. It's up to you. Okay, so first of all, hymn to the Buddha, and then straight after that, we'll just go into the threefold puja, and that will take us to the end of our evening. Remember, we're searching for the Buddha, but we find him through puja. That's what they say. Puja is a way to find out the meaning of enlightenment. Just to hear you brings joy. Just to look upon you calms the heart. Your speech refreshes and your teaching frees. You are a great lake of wisdom, with waters purified by truth, surface calmed by meditation, and depths stilled by wisdom. You are a jewel to see. You are a jewel to hear. You are a jewel of reflection. You are a jewel mine of goodness. You are an island in the flood, a shelter for the stricken, a refuge for the fearful, a haven for those who aspire now to freedom. To all living beings, you are a jewel mine of goodness, a perfect field of perfect fruit, beloved for your tenderness. You are an island in the flood, a shelter for the stricken, a refuge for the fearful, a haven for those who aspire now to freedom. To all living beings, you are an orchard full of virtue, a fertile field of perfect fruit, beloved for your tenderness. Just to hear you brings joy. Just to look upon you calms the heart. Your speech refreshes and your teaching frees. The threefold puja. First, opening reverence. We reverence the Buddha,
We reverence the Buddha,
the perfectly enlightened one,
the perfectly enlightened one,
the shower of the way.
the shower of the way.
We reverence the Dharma,
We reverence the Dharma,
the teaching of the Buddha,
the teaching of the Buddha,
which leads from darkness to light.
which leads from darkness to light.
We reverence the Sangha,
We reverence the Sangha,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
that inspires and guides.
that inspires and guides.
Reverence to the three jewels. We reverence the Buddha
We reverence the Buddha,
and aspire to follow him.
and aspire to follow him.
The Buddha was born as we are born.
The Buddha was born as we are born.
What the Buddha overcame, we too can overcome.
What the Buddha overcame, we too can overcome.
What the Buddha attained, we too can attain.
What the Buddha attained, we too can attain.
We reverence the Dharma
We reverence the Dharma,
and aspire to follow it.
and aspire to follow it.
With body, speech and mind until the end.
With body, speech, and mind until the end.
The truth in all its aspects.
The truth in all its aspects.
The path in all its stages.
The path in all its stages.
We aspire to study,
We aspire to study,
practice,
practice,
realize.
realize.
We reverence the Sangha and aspire to follow it.
We reverence the Sangha and aspire to follow it.
The fellowship of those who tread the way.
The fellowship of those who tread the way.
As one by one we make our own commitment.
As one by one we make our own commitment.
An ever-widening circle.
An ever-widening circle.
The Sangha grows.
The Sangha grows.
Offerings to the Buddha. Reverencing the Buddha, we offer flowers.
Reverencing the Buddha, we offer flowers.
Flowers that today are fresh and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that today are fresh and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that tomorrow are faded and fallen.
Flowers that tomorrow are faded and fallen.
Our bodies too, like flowers, will pass away.
Our bodies too, like flowers, will pass away.
Reverencing the Buddha, we offer candles.
Reverencing the Buddha, we offer candles.
To him who is the light, we offer light.
To him who is the light, we offer light.
From his greater lamp,
From his greater lamp,
a lesser lamp we light within us.
a lesser lamp we light within us.
The lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts.
The lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer incense.
we offer incense.
Incense whose fragrance pervades the air.
Incense whose fragrance pervades the air.
The fragrance of the perfect life.
The fragrance of the perfect life.
Sweeter than incense.
Sweeter than incense.
Spreads in all directions throughout the world.
Spreads in all directions throughout the world.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha.
Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om 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 Muni 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 Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om 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 Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. So thank you very much, and wishing you more beauty, more light, more inspiration as you engage your imaginations to support your spiritual journey.